Hello, I'm psychologist Isaac Gulu. Today, we'll take a different look at something many of us experience from time to time, what is often labeled as obsession. How did we go from simple worry to a so-called disorder? Are thoughts affecting us, or are we giving them too much meaning? Let's explore that together. If this kind of content speaks to you, don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell. We're on this journey together. But there was worry in the past, too. The issue we now call obsessive thinking or stepchild thoughts wasn't as widespread in the past. Back then, it existed simply as worry and was both limited in scope and frequency. So what changed? What traumas have exploded in recent years? Has our serotonin level been dropping more rapidly? In the past, what we now call obsessive thoughts were simply seen as worry or whisperings, often interpreted by society as bad thoughts or nonsensical thoughts. Of course, it's not just the mental health industry that influences this coding. Our social environment plays a role too. Statements like, "I had bad thoughts during prayer," or "sometimes strange thoughts pop into my head," have always existed to some degree, and thus this issue was present in earlier times as well, albeit minimally, under the name whispering. What I'm referring to now is the dramatic spread of this problem. That spread is the result of industry-driven coding. Among the current therapeutic schools, the relatively scientific cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT, is built on a theoretical structure that involves rating thoughts and emotions and gradually diminishing them through homework tasks. This implies that your emotions and thoughts are what affect you, not your perception of them. It sees the issue as the phenomenon itself being problematic and responsible, not how it's perceived. This kind of approach makes people more sensitive to the phenomenon itself. If emotions and thoughts, rather than perceptions, are seen as the problem, then people inevitably become hyper-aware of them. And when this phenomenon-focused approach fails to deliver strong results, the wound that doesn't kill strengthens principle kicks in, making the process even more difficult. In my early years as a professional, I used this approach extensively, but all it ever gave me was a sense of helplessness. Although CBT talks about perception, automatic thoughts and such, it fundamentally sees the issue as a pathological, medical one. It only uses perception techniques as secondary support in treating what it considers a medical disorder. Doing something half-heartedly is no different from not doing it at all. Thus, assigning a minor role to perception on a flawed foundation, where the phenomenon itself is seen as the problem, is essentially the same as not valuing perception at all. For this reason, my theory cannot be aligned with CBT. Just because both mention perception doesn't make them similar. After all, syrup and poison also look alike. Both are liquids, both are dark in color, and both are in bottles. But one heals, and the other harms. I will discuss the effectiveness claims of other methods in later sections. Treating thoughts with medication. Trying to treat a thought problem with antidepressants, medications meant for mood, is like trying to solve a vitamin D deficiency with vitamin C, or addressing a protein deficiency by eating hot peppers. When that doesn't work, switching to bell peppers, and when that still fails, labeling the issue as obsessive-compulsive disorder, the cancer of psychiatry, and prescribing lifelong medication. Emotions, thoughts, and behaviors tend to run parallel. Based on this principle, wouldn't changing emotions through medication also change thoughts? In theory, yes. Emotions influence thoughts. But in reality, medications don't change emotions. They only suppress them. And suppression is not the same as transformation. What is suppressed doesn't disappear. It builds up under pressure and often returns stronger. These drugs are recommended for a minimum of 6 months, even in mild cases. This attributes the natural healing effect of time to the drug. Over time, people experience changes. A person may adapt after a divorce, meet someone new, pay off their debts, and so on. The relief that comes from these life changes is wrongly credited to the medication. People begin to believe it was the drug, not time, that helped them, further enhancing the placebo effect. They say time heals, but it's not time itself. It's the positive events that occur during that time. Time merely provides the opportunity for suggestions and emotional shifts to take root.
The exhaustion of stepchild thoughts. Obsessive thoughts, what I call stepchild thoughts, tire the mind and spirit tremendously. But it's not the thoughts themselves that wear us down, it's our constant battle against them. Viewing these thoughts as disorders or obsessions and waging a mental war against them is what drains people. Naturally, this leads to additional psychological issues caused by mental exhaustion. The mental health industry then attributes all of this to the initial obsessive thoughts, convincing patients they need stronger medication. In truth, not all the psychological impact stems from these thoughts, but they take the blame anyway. One mistake leads to another, one wrong reinforces the next, and the process snowballs. Flexible response to stepchild thoughts. Don't try to catch a punch midair, just adjust your stance. Whether or not you get hit depends not on the punch itself, but on your reaction to it. Nothing in this world has an effect on its own. A punch means nothing unless there's something to receive it. Likewise, a thought alone cannot create an outcome. What matters is how we respond to it. Rain only makes a sound when it hits an umbrella. A thief only meets resistance when there's a locked door. Two hands clapping create sound. If you position yourself right, you can neutralize even the hardest blow. So don't try to catch the punch, just focus on your reaction. The welcome package technique. Let's recap. Running away, avoiding, or fighting a thought sends the brain the message that it's dangerous. And the brain, based on past coding, interprets danger as something to flee, avoid, or fight. Thus, using terms like obsession, disorder, or cognitive distortion only confirms the sense of threat to the brain. A thought is just a thought. There's no such thing as good or bad thoughts. Thoughts come and go. Some are wanted, some are not. Some are frequent, some rare. But the brain is the home of all thoughts. We wouldn't expect a certain category of thoughts to be sent somewhere else, like the kidneys. I no longer categorize my thoughts. Thanks to Isaac Gulu, I no longer fall into the trap of labeling thoughts as positive or negative. So why run from them? If all thoughts are just thoughts, why fight? Dear thoughts, come whenever you want. Now or tomorrow. Stay for 5 days or never leave. The brain is your home. I won't interfere anymore. You don't need to apply this mindset to each individual thought. Just reread the welcome package occasionally to keep it fresh in your mind. For individual intrusive questions like, what if I didn't clean properly? Maybe, what if the thought doesn't go away? Maybe, what if it never goes away? Maybe, but it makes me uncomfortable. Maybe, the discomfort is intense. Maybe, write down your own intrusive questions, especially those containing if statements, and add maybe underneath each. Read this list 5 or 6 times a day. Visual cues are more convincing to the brain. The eye sends more trustworthy information than the ear. Don't forget, it's not the guest that harms you, it's your perception of them as a bad guest. Your belief that they shouldn't come is what causes distress. The issue isn't the thought itself, it's the belief it's a bad thought. That means the problem is not the phenomenon itself, but your perception of it. Remember, thoughts are more like guests than enemies. Change the meaning you give them, and they'll change how they make you feel. What I shared today isn't just information, it's a shift in perspective. If you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. I'll be here every week with a new topic. Take care and see you next time.